What up guys, today we're going to talk about the 6 categories of psychic powers in Buddhism. And these are called the Abhiññā or Abhiññā in Sanskrit. And that really just means higher knowledges actually. But when we look at them at face value, they're pretty much all psychic powers except for the last one. Okay, so the first category is called Iddhi-Viddha. And this is pretty much what we think of as like all the fairy tale powers. So this includes like flying and diving through the earth and turning invisible and walking on water, you know, standard Jesus stuff, right? So that category is just a whole hodgepodge of powers like that. Multiplying yourself, that's another cool one. I forgot to mention that Iddhi-Viddha means supernormal powers, straight up. If these seem kind of outlandish to achieve, just keep in mind that the end goal of Buddhism causes you to see the oneness of the universe in the fact that everything is an illusion, all these appearances. So why shouldn't you be able to bend everything to your will once you realize that? Or once you achieve 4th jhana, the 4th state of concentration. You can also do it under those conditions as well. Remember, there is no spoon. Okay, category number 2 is Dibbasota, clairaudience, or divine hearing, really. And what this means is that you have the ability to hear sounds, whatever sound you want, on the physical plane, but also on the planes above you, from the Deva world, the Brahma world, and spirits, for example. Sometimes I receive ghost songs in my head. That's an example of Dibbasota. Abhiññā, or psychic power number 3, is Cetopariya-ñāna, and this is the ability to know the minds of others. So basically, you can know their thoughts and you can know their mental states. A good example of it is found in Ajahn Mun's biography, where he's in the forest and he actually like investigates the mind of a fellow monk who's like far away. And he actually communicates with animals with his mind too. That's another interesting power he demonstrates. Highly recommended, by the way. Definitely read this if you're into Buddhism or are Buddhist. Number 4 is Pubbé-Navāsanusati. And this is the recollection of one's past lives in detail. And for those of you interested in how reincarnation works in Buddhism, you might find this passage fascinating because the Buddha says he lists not only 1 or 10 past lives, but he goes up to 100,000, and then even goes further to say many cycles of cosmic contraction and expansion, because the beginning point of the universes is not evident. And so you'll be able to remember what your appearance was, what kind of food you had, what kind of family you had, and details like that. Number 5 is Dibbachaku, the divine eye. Now this is not clairvoyance like we would normally think of it when we see images in our mind, but rather pretty much the same thing as Pubbé-Navāsanusati, but for other people, where you're able to tune into the karmic past life history of other people. And specifically you have an insight into the kinds of mental qualities they had and knowledge of like how their karma caused them to go through different types of experiences. Now the last Abhiññā is the one that is kind of like not a psychic power. It's actually synonymous with the goal of Buddhism. It's the ending of the effluence, āsavakkhaya ñāna. Now this is an important subject. I want to do a separate video on the effluence. And these are outflows of ignorance, basically. They only exist when you are not enlightened. I want to read a little passage for you. So it says, the monk remains in the effluent-free awareness release, which is ceto vimutti, you'll see that term, and discernment release, which I believe is paññā vimutti, knowing and realizing it for himself in the here and now. So that's how they phrase āsavakkhaya. But also, important, with release, there is the knowledge released. He discerns that birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, the task done. There is nothing further for the sake of this world. And so that's a recurring formulaic phrase you'll see throughout the Buddhist literature. So I want to include that. Now, that's it for the 6 categories of supernormal powers, or Abhiññā. Now, this came from Samyutta Nikaya 5126, if you're interested in looking it up, and the context is with regard to the 4 bases of power, the Iddhi. And as a last little tidbit, the Buddha says at the end, the way to developing these powers, these Iddhi, is the 8-fold path, the Ariya Magga. So, there you have it guys. If you enjoyed this video and learning about why you want to be able to walk through walls in the future, then give me a like and a subscribe. And feel free to donate to my channel if if you want to support my mission to spread the spiritual word across the world. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Āsavakkhaya unto you.